You wake up one morning and something feels different. Not wrong, just different. You look at your life, everything you built, everything you achieved, and instead of pride, you feel something else. A strange discomfort, an emotional pain you can't quite name. And here's what most people get wrong about this. They think it's regret. They think it's depression. They think something is broken inside them. But what if I told you these emotional pains aren't signs that something's wrong? What if they're actually signs that something is finally waking up? If you're over 50 and you've been feeling emotional pains you can't explain, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and comment where you're watching from. Because what I'm about to reveal changes everything. Most people spend their entire lives thinking emotional pain means failure. That if you feel uncomfortable, you made a mistake. That if you feel lost, you're going backward. But here's what psychology reveals. After 50, emotional pain works differently. It's not a warning sign. It's a compass. And most people throw away the compass because they don't understand what it's pointing to. Let me show you what I mean. Pain number 1. You feel like you wasted time. You look back at your life, and you see all the years that passed, all the things you didn't do, all the versions of yourself you never became. And it hurts. This pain is so common after 50 that most people think it's just part of aging. But here's what they miss. This isn't regret. This is awakening. Let me give you a real example. A man at 52 suddenly realizes he spent 30 years building a career he never truly wanted. He provided for his family. He did everything right. But now he looks at his life and feels empty. Most people would say he wasted his time. But psychology shows something different. That pain he feels, it's not about the past. It's about the future. His mind is finally ready to stop performing and start living. Pay attention to this. When you feel like you wasted time, your brain isn't punishing you. It's preparing you. It's saying, now is when your real life begins. Pain number 2. You don't recognize yourself anymore. You look in the mirror, not just at your face, but at your entire life. And you think, who is this person? The things that used to excite you don't anymore. The goals that used to drive you feel hollow. The version of yourself you built for decades suddenly feels like a costume. And here's what almost nobody notices. This isn't loss of identity. It's the death of a false identity. Let me explain. A woman at 58 realizes she doesn't enjoy the social events she used to love. She used to be the life of the party, always smiling, always energetic, always available. But now, she'd rather stay home. She'd rather be alone. She'd rather sit in silence than make small talk. And she feels guilty about it because she thinks something is wrong with her. But there's a detail here that almost nobody perceives. What's dying isn't her. It's the performance. After 50, the mind starts rejecting every part of you that was built for others. Every smile you faked. Every opinion you hid. Every piece of yourself you sacrificed to fit in. Your brain is finally saying, enough. And that creates emotional pain. But it's not destructive pain. It's constructive pain. It's the pain of becoming real. Pain number 3. You feel lonely even when surrounded by people. You're at a family dinner. Everyone's talking. Everyone's laughing. But you feel completely alone. Not because they're bad people. Not because you don't love them. But because something inside you has shifted. And nobody seems to notice. This is more common than it seems. After 50, many people feel a loneliness that has nothing to do with being alone. It's a loneliness that happens in crowded rooms, at celebrations, at gatherings. And here's what most people do wrong. They try to fix it by being around more people. But that only makes it worse, because the loneliness isn't about quantity. It's about depth. Let me show you what I mean. A man at 61 goes to his high school reunion. He sees old friends. They talk about the good old days. They laugh. They reminisce. But inside, he feels more alone than ever, because he's changed, and they haven't. Or maybe they have, but nobody's talking about it. Everyone's performing the same roles they played 40 years ago, and he doesn't want to perform anymore. There's a psychological pattern here that changes everything. After 50, your mind starts craving authentic connection, not surface connection, not polite connection, real connection. And when you can't find it, you feel lonely, even in a room full of people. But here's the revelation. That loneliness isn't telling you something is wrong. It's telling you what you need. It's telling you to stop settling for shallow relationships and start seeking depth. Pain number 4. Small changes bother you intensely. Someone moves your coffee mug. Your routine gets interrupted. Your favorite store changes its layout, and you feel genuinely upset, more upset than it seems reasonable to be. And you think, am I becoming rigid? Am I losing my flexibility? Most people interpret this as becoming old and set in their ways, but psychology reveals something completely different. This isn't rigidity, it's protection. Let me explain with a real situation. A woman at 56 gets extremely upset when her adult children rearrange her kitchen without asking. She feels angry. She feels disrespected. But more than that, she feels destabilized. And here's what she doesn't realize. After 50, your tolerance for unnecessary chaos drops dramatically. Not because you're becoming difficult, but because your mind has finally figured out what matters, and it's protecting that. For 30 or 40 years, you adapted to everything. You bent, you adjusted, you accommodated, and now your mind is saying, no more. The small changes that bother you aren't about the changes themselves. They're about boundaries. Your psyche is finally drawing lines. And that's not weakness. That's wisdom. Pain number 5. You need silence constantly. You used to enjoy noise, music playing, TV on in the background, conversations happening around you. But now, noise feels like assault. You need silence. You crave it. You protect it. And people around you don't understand. They think you're withdrawing. They think you're becoming antisocial. But there's something deeper happening here. After 50, your nervous system changes. All those years of stimulation, all those years of performing, all those years of being on. Your brain is exhausted, and silence isn't escape. It's recovery. Let me give you an example. A man at 63 starts declining invitations, not because he doesn't like people, but because after every social event, he needs 3 days to recover. His family thinks he's depressed, but he's not. He's just finally listening to what his mind actually needs. And this is the part most people miss. The need for silence after 50 isn't about running away. It's about coming home to yourself. Pain number 6. You reject things you used to love. Hobbies you enjoyed for years suddenly feel empty. Goals you worked toward for decades suddenly feel meaningless. Activities that used to bring joy now bring nothing. And you feel guilty about it because you think, what's wrong with me? But here's what psychology shows. Nothing is wrong with you. You're evolving. A woman at 59 suddenly stops painting. She painted for 20 years. It was her passion, her identity. But now, when she picks up a brush, she feels nothing. And she thinks she lost her creativity. But that's not what happened. What happened is her purpose shifted, and her old passions don't match her new purpose. This is a critical moment that most people misunderstand. After 50, your mind starts rejecting everything that isn't aligned with your true purpose. Not the purpose society gave you, not the purpose your family expected, your real purpose. And that creates pain, because it feels like loss. But it's not loss, it's clarification. Your mind is clearing space for what actually matters. Pain number 7. You feel like nobody understands you. You try to explain how you feel, but the words don't come out right. People listen, but they don't get it. They give advice, but it doesn't help, and you start to feel invisible, like you're speaking a language nobody else speaks. This pain is deeper than it appears, because behind this behavior, there's a psychological pattern that changes everything. After 50, you start operating from a different level of consciousness. You see things other people don't see. You understand things other people don't understand. Not because you're better, but because you've lived longer. You've experienced more, and your perspective has expanded. But when you try to share that perspective, people can't relate. And that creates profound loneliness. Here's the revelation. All 7 of these emotional pains have one thing in common. They're not signs of failure. They're not signs of depression. They're not signs that something is wrong with you. They're signs that you're finally waking up to your real purpose. After 50, your mind stops tolerating performance. It stops accepting shallow connections. It stops allowing meaningless activities.